Okay, so we're gonna show this video. I'm gonna just intro it. Cut. Keep up.
Hi everyone, my name is Susan. I'm here from Wilcom, and today I am joined by some of the team at Embroidery Library. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, we'd love to. Hi, Susan. I'm Bonnie, and I'm the CEO of Embroidery Library. And I'm Sammy, and I'm the social media specialist.
So lovely to see you both again.
Yeah.
As you know, we love the work that you both do there. Everything that comes out of Embroidery Library and Urban Threads is so inspiring. And it's always just so great to come on and say hi.
Yes, I know. We love this time of year. Talk with you. Yeah, last year we showed off one of our Christmas designs, and we have another Christmas design to talk about.
Oh, I'm so excited to see it all. Now, as you may have noticed, we are dressed vastly differently. I am here in Australia in our Sydney offices, and we're looking for a pretty warm day today. It was pretty hot on the walk in already, and yet you're all ready for like cozy winter time.
Yes, it's very cold here in Minnesota. Yeah, it's a little bit different. We hope we would have your weather, and maybe we just take both of them together and have like a solid like 70s.
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
yeah,
Just a nice spring.
that would be nice
Good.
all year round. Yes,
Mhm.
perfect. Right. So, for those people who don't know, would you like to explain what Embroidery Library does?
Sure. At Embroidery Library, we create original artwork and designs, and we digitize them all in house, and we test everything out. We're employee owned, which means everybody here owns a piece of the company together. But then we put those designs out with instructions and inspiration, and we've been doing it for a couple of decades at least here. So,
Yeah.
it's awesome. Yeah.
That sounds so fantastic. Now, you have sort of two brands within that. So you have the Embroidery Library brand and you have Urban Threads. What I always wanted to know is when you look at a design, is it automatically designed for one brand or the other? Or do you put it up on the wall and be like, that's Embroidery Library and that's Urban Threads?
That's a good question. It is generally vast majority of the time, it is pre-planned and selected for the brand specifically. Sometimes we'll get into designing something. I just sat in on an art meeting where that happened, and we were looking at it, and we all thought it was an Urban Threads design, but it wasn't. And so then we knew, like, oh, we need to switch the plan and switch brands for it. So it's hard to put into words what that is, but we do hear like people can look at an Urban Threads design and know that that's an Urban Threads design. So
Yeah, sometimes it's just one of those things like when you see the actual designs, you know instinctively that it's one or the other. And sometimes if I'm looking for something in particular, if I want like really classical Christmas, I know I'm going straight to Embroidery Library. And if I'm looking for like quirky fun, like dragons, I'm going directly to Urban Threads. So it's kind of nice that there is a difference there between the two.
yeah. Santa riding on a dragon, definitely check out Urban Threads. Yeah.
That's about right. And do you find that with your customers, you have a crossover between the two, or are people kind of dedicated one brand or the other?
Mostly crossover, and I think, it depends on what they're making and who they're making it for. But it's a huge crossover, yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. And one of the other things I wanted to ask before we jump into talking about today's particular design, your output of designs is extraordinary. I love every week there are new designs for both brands coming out, and they're not just like one simple little tiny designs. It's like a whole collection. It's super inspiring for me as a designer because I'm like, just that output is so impressive. Do you have a really tight schedule for that to all happen? Like, how do you actually plan out your schedules?
There's just a really experienced team of people that work together to get it done, and we've just designed our system to flow and for things to, work amazingly well. But yeah, people have always been impressed by that. But I think that's also part of being an employee-owned company. Like, we're all very invested in it working, and everybody's really working together to make these miracles happen. So yeah, it's very collaborative.
Oh, that's so awesome to hear. And it really shows up in the designs because there's never a week where it's like a down week. It's just like every week it just builds and builds and builds and gets more exciting. So that's always really great to see, because every time I want to embroider something or make something for someone, it's like I always look in first and see what's happening, because it's so inspiring in all the different ways that you do things.
Yeah, I feel that way just walking around the office, especially this season for some reason. And I feel this way every year, but I feel like we've really outdone ourselves this year. Yeah. There's some things coming out still that are sitting out there that if people saw them, they're going to be really excited.
Yeah.
To stockings.
Ooh.
The stack. Anyways. Yeah.
That is super exciting. So today we have a new design. I got a little sneak peek before we started recording, but did you want to talk us through the design?
Sure. This video, it's a few minutes long, but we can play it and I can talk about the design while we watch it. But this is a new design of a cardinal panel scene.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so there's 4 pieces that go together and make this window view. And there was a blue jay panel scene as well that we did before, but you can have them together. But we're going to show, it was the same artist and digitizer that worked on this that got to work together again on this one. So, but yeah, we're going to show the video of how that was made and talk it through. That's super exciting. Yeah, this is brand new. So it just came out this week. Yeah. So.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we've got this video showing the artist and digitizer working on this design, this cardinal panel scene. And so
it is.
Yes, I made sure that they were okay with me talking about them. But this is our artist, Tony, and he's worked here since the beginning of the company, and he's just an incredible master artist. And he's working on this sketch here and adding the shading. His process is really incredible, and I know that the theme of this Stitch Fest this year is music, so I wanted to mention he is a multi-instrumentalist. He does everything. He's very, very talented musically, so I asked him, and he plays the bass guitar, the guitar, and the piano, but I think he plays more than that, but didn't want to admit it. Yeah, because it wasn't up to the standard of Tony. Yes, but he will go through, masterfully design out the composition, and at this point, you're seeing him just adding those painted shading layers, and he's so just amazing at composition and knowing what can be done with thread. He also will operate our sewing room quite masterfully. I jokingly call him the father of the sewing room sometimes. But he is so familiar with embroidery at this point that his art is just flawless to digitize. But yeah, so this is like a peek just of him going around and sketching. And then this process will go through a review by people that have the digitizing expertise to ask, hey, will you make this detail a little bit bigger or smaller? They will check for feasibility of, can this be done or not, which is a huge reason why the designs work so well, is that the artists and digitizers trade that knowledge with each other. And we really work from the beginning to make that artwork successful. And so then this moves on to digitizing. And we are using Wilcom EmbroideryStudio here with a Cintiq monitor. Everyone uses their shortcuts. Just, it blows your mind to watch them work. In this case, the digitizer is adding the little beautiful satin details on the front of the cardinal, which you can really appreciate in person. I haven't been able to get it to show up on camera yet, but the shading and the beauty of the digitizing on this is just incredible. Our digitizer, Angel, worked on this, and she's an incredible painter and understands color blending and color theory super well. So, and she said it was great because working on the original Blue Jay, panel scene just informed how she could really make this one look beautiful and impressive. But yeah, there's such a beautiful mix in this design of different tatami fills at different angles and different reds and highlight colors mixed in with tone of the artist's like just masterful line work and his suggestion of shading and light. So it's a really inspiring process. Um, and from there, the process will go that this design will go through testing through our sewing room. So we'll go through and test a first sew out to check that all of the colors are blending really well. And with these intense, very high artist level designs, like that color checking is super important because it's an intense design to sew out. So we want to be sure that it's all working to the proper effect. And from there, they will continue to develop the other pieces of the panel scene.
I love that the way that the navy really blends nicely to the stitches. It really does bring out the design.
Yep.
It's very elegant.
Yep.
It's really great to see it on these amazing touch screens that you have, because it really does look like you're watching an artist paint. Like, even though I know they're using stitches, it really does just look like they're painting.
It does feel like painting as well. And I am much more of it, bohemian with my digitizing, where I love to throw fills around. And it definitely feels like painting in that case. Those satin stitches are more exacting, and we want those to be really precise. But it's so fun to blend the open fills, is what we call them, together for that, the color blending effects. That's my favorite part of digitizing, I think, and really something that takes a really long time to learn and to master that. I think you asked last year, is it one designer that does that sort of, color blending? And it's really everybody here gets trained to do that. So, but it takes a long time of trial and error and testing things out and sending it through to the sewing room to see how the colors will work together.
Yeah, sometimes until you stitch it out in actual threads, you're never entirely sure how it's going to work. And sometimes you are really pleasantly surprised, and other times you're like, all right, back to the drawing board, because sometimes it's too dense or not dense enough, or there's so many different ways you can take the stitching.
Yes. Yeah, and it doesn't matter how experienced you are. Like, you never really know until you stitch it out, just because there's physics of it pulling, and how is it going to play with different background fabrics. Like Sammy said, this is on navy felt, so there's this fade to a darker background color. This is the final piece now, showing what that looks like together. So you can see the navy felt is used as part of the composition where the thread will fade out to that fabric, and you can see the satin stitching along the front of the cardinal, adding that dimension in there. Yeah, it's the process of us making.
Oh, it's so beautiful to not only see the finished one, which is just gorgeous, but to actually see the artists working. They were using Procreate, I'm fairly sure, on the iPad there to draw with.
Likely, yes.
Yeah. And then to see the digitizing in the Wilcom EmbroideryStudio, it's just such a beautiful process for the whole thing.
It is such an amazing thing to work here and see all the artwork happening, because as much as there's product flowing out to the website, imagine that there's that many designs going through art at any given moment, and that many other designs going through digitizing at the same time, and then another set going up on the website. So there's always just an incredible amount of creativity happening at any given moment.
It's a very busy place.
It sounds wonderful and inspiring. And just to get a little bit technical, once it's been digitized, how many times do you think you normally stitch it out before you end up with like a beautiful stitch out like the one that Sammy's hanging on to? Like, is it a couple of times and then edits in between? Like, how long is that process?
It depends on the design, but yeah, I would say typically around a couple of times to get it right. If it's just a running stitch or like a satin and running stitch design, that's usually, pretty cut and dry. Um, but it can take from the start of us having the design idea to it going up on the website is about 12 weeks. So it's a lot of back and forth. But as far as digitizing goes, it would take, these take a bit longer just because there's 4 of them, and it tends to be one person digitizing it, since that's a lot of consistency to keep in mind. When we used to like split work like this up, it would be insane because people would decide to, digitize the leaves differently in each panel scene, and why did you do that? Why did you? Because there's so many decisions that you wouldn't even imagine would affect things. Like this branch has to continue, even though those are different files. But so these take maybe 2 to 3 weeks to get through all the way. I want to estimate there, but
yeah, that's amazing because like there's so many things here that I would digitize on screen, and then I try and stitch out as many as possible because it's obviously such a great way to learn, because the end product is going to be stitched out.
Yeah.
So it's always great to know that even a very experienced company filled with incredibly experienced and talented digitizers like yours are still stitching things out multiple times, because I think sometimes people get the misconception that embroidery is going to be like print and you just push play and off you go.
Especially my head hard enough. No, yeah, you just really don't know what's going to happen. And so I think, the true view function in Wilcom is super valuable. Although I know one of the more experienced digitizers who just retired last year would have that turned off, and she would be able to look at the design just with just the stitch like vector view and could decipher what it was going to look like. And I don't know how she did that. I have no.
We have a few here like that, and I'm always like,
I don't know how she did it. I have like, please turn this really on for me. I can't do it. But and that's super valuable. But you just really don't know how the final blending, like you said, is going to turn out. Or sometimes the I don't know, the values from one area to the next, or the shading or blending can be more abrupt than you expected. That sort of thing.
yeah, and I think a lot of it depends with like your base fabrics and what you're going to use it with. But just even with, as I'm just looking on screen here, the color blend through the background behind the cardinals is so beautiful, and it looks really dimensional, like you want to kind of touch it. Which is really lovely.
Yes. Yeah, Angel did an amazing job picking the thread colors for that. And like I said, to the artist's credit, like being able to create artwork that translates really well is also a skill that cannot be, just, you can't talk about it enough. Like you said, it's not like print. You have to understand all the way to the end to get it to work in its best form, I would say. So
yeah, for sure. And even when I was watching Tony just like draw in Procreate, I like the way that he was adding in the shading, because the way we would shade for different types of artwork is so different for stitching, because you want to make things look more spherical and more rounded. And you could just see by the placement where it was going and how that was going to then translate into stitches. So it's calling someone who thinks about the end and doesn't just give the digitizer something to interpret.
Right. Which that's been a journey over time, I would say. I think that's been part of our evolution as a company. Is it was like that at a point where it was the artists would just, have fun. But then we found to create as much as we do and to make it efficient, and it also affects the end product. We want it to be a good experience to digitize. And even as you say that, just the way that the designs are shaded and how he understands the limitations of how many colors we want to use. That is a little similar to screen printing, where you're trying to only put, you're trying to lay down your red and then do all of your dark red at the same time. You don't want to have to switch colors back and forth too many times. So but that I think comes in because he runs the sewing room so much. He knows what it's like to have to switch the threads out.
Switching out the threads is something that people most often say is something that they find is a hassle, but not because they don't mind the color blending. They like the sheer amount of colors, but particularly if they've got like a single needle, they're like, it's a lot of thread.
Yeah, you gotta be right with it and be watching it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fantastic to see the whole process of it going through and to see all of the wonderful things you've got. Now, you said you've got some wonderful things coming up. Where can people come and find you so that they can see everything that you do?
Yeah, so can you tell her about the websites and the Facebook group?
Yeah. So our website's Embroidery Library is www.embroiderylibrary.com. And we have an official Facebook group, which if anyone is not a part of it, should definitely join. There's like over 75,000 members where everyone just shows all of their stunning projects, asks amazing questions. But yeah, we never thought it was going to be that big. We just started it as like this would be so much fun to do.
And Urban Threads is also included in it, so it's both brands. And then urbanthreads.com, watch out for some incredible Christmas stocking designs that I'm obsessed with.
Which will be out very soon.
They'll be out very soon. They're in the other room, like I said, making me want to just stitch them out so I can have more copies of them.
Yeah.
I am also a member of your Facebook group, and I love how someone will take a photo of clearly like a very well-loved like teddy bear or like child's garment or something, and it's like incredibly being worn and washed and is like on the verge of falling apart, and they'll be like, does anyone remember this design? And then there's like 30 people going with the right code, and I'm like, this is just, it's like you've got a Wikipedia of your own ones staffed by everyone who's in the group. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I mean, we even use that group too for our own inspiration because it's like what customers do. Sometimes we would never think about.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that's the fun thing of us, producing as much as we do and really caring is we're watching always what people are making, what they're interested in, and then we can adjust and start to build on those things.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. Now, I just wanted to ask a few more questions about your design process. So you said earlier that you've got a 12-week process. So is that from like first design meeting, hey, we're thinking about Christmas, to actual release date?
From the design planning. So even much earlier than that, if we're saying like, hey, we want to do Christmas designs, that would be even harder to say. But from the design planning where we're generally, let's use the dragon Santa Claus Urban Threads design. We're like, we're going to do Santa riding on a dragon. And then that will get added to the list of things that the artists have that they're working on, but they're working, ahead of that. So then that cycles through and then they start to, ideate and do sketches of that. And so, yeah, it's from the point that yes, we're doing a dragon Santa to it going up on the website.
That's like pretty fast a turnaround because like obviously with most fashion companies, it's a much longer turnaround if you're looking doing wholesale and things like that. So the fact that you can be so fast a turnaround is super impressive. And so in saying that, like how many people actually work with you all?
In the production area, I would say it's around 20 people. And then we have, obviously IT and marketing and accounting and all that too. So, but in production, it's about 20 people.
Yeah, that's an impressive workload for just 20 people.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much today for coming along and saying hi and celebrating Stitch Fest with us.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming in and organizing it and showing off your beautiful work. It's always so lovely to see. Whenever we see your things pop up on social media and we spot like a Wilcom EmbroideryStudio screen, it always gets sent all the way around the office. So
I'm so happy.
I know, and normally someone's like, I want one of those screens. No, I want one of those screens. But everyone's always really excited because it's so fantastic to see such a wonderful company working with our products. We always love to see that.
Yeah, it's such an art form, and Wilcom really allows us to spread our wings and really push the limits of what's possible. So it's really fun to work with.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much. And we'll catch you all. We'll add all of the links down below for everyone so that they can catch you across all of your websites and your very fun lives every week as well.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Susan.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.